one more little baby question for friends of mine and myself, our children who seem to get nightmares at around the age of 4. My littlest has just started this, and when you were talking about sleep and releasing of resistance, I wondered if you could speak to children and nightmares.
The nice thing about dreams are they are a reflection of the vibration that you've got going on. And because they are happening in your dream state, when you have no resistance, you can't cover them up by pretending that they're not there. Did you hear that? In other words, in your wake state, you can be full of resistance and you can be denying it. You can be smiling smiles when you don't feel happy. And you can be saying positive things when you don't feel positive. But when you're dreaming, because there's no resistance, it's playing out in your dream. You're translating it exactly as you feel it. So we would tell that story differently. We would not be saying, what do you do about children who are having nightmares? We would say, how can you shore up the sense of alignment of this child when they're in their wake state?
Okay.
They are practicing vibrations of resistance that are demonstrating during their slumber. Don't you like knowing that? We'll say it to you in another way, easier to hear way. What you think, how you feel, and what comes to you always matches. That's how you create your own reality. What you think and how you feel is what is demonstrating in your dream state too. It's just there's less resistance, so it can come faster in your dream state. So if someone is having a bad dream, we would say to them, don't worry about it. It isn't real. We would say, it's because of something you've been thinking. And we would say, how did you feel in that dream? Well, it's obvious. They are afraid. You call them night terrors or bad dreams. Do you ever feel anything like that when you are awake? Even when they're little, they can associate it. They can identify it. And right away, they will tell you what makes them feel that way. And usually, it is something they saw on television or something they heard one of you say. Esther was listening to some people the other day with children all around them telling the most awful stories about snakes and panthers and walking through the woods and cougars grabbing people and dragging them off into the bushes. And Esther wanted to just gather up all the little children and take them out into the gardens where the butterflies and the birds were. She couldn't believe that these parents were actually having these conversations, and the little kids were listening. Their eyes were getting bigger and bigger. They're going to have some bad dreams because they've got some stuff active in their vibration that's going to play out in some way, you see. So what you want to help your children to understand is that the way they feel is about the thoughts that are going on within them. And this is the thing that we so want you to get. This is the perfect opportunity to really hear this, because it feels to you all, to almost everyone who is physically focused, that the reason that people have those bad dreams is because bad things are happening, because there are conditions that you can't control that are happening, and you're just facing reality. And what you've just demonstrated is that there's not a condition that's happening that's causing these dreams. This child is not responding to any reality. This child is responding to conversation about reality, but it's enough momentum to get going that it's preventing the well-being from flowing moment by moment. Don't you love knowing that? Don't you love knowing that the only thing that ever gets you down, the only thing that ever makes you feel bad is your own split energy? And if you keep it up, yes, there's going to be manifestations that match it, like the manifestation of the dream. But you create your own reality, you see. You want to take your power back. You want to say to your children, you know, I know it feels like you couldn't do anything about that dream, but you can. Because when you feel scared like you felt in that dream, but you're not dreaming, stop and ask yourself, can I think about this in a different way? And then show them how to soothe them, remind them about their well-being. Even in this room, so many enlightened beings, so many teachers, so many uplifters, and even in a room like this, as we are saying, soothe your children who are facing realities that they don't want to face. You feel conflicted about it because it feels like reality that you should be facing. And we want you to understand, if you can take that thought and weave in it and through it and around it this conversation about unconditional love, and you can show yourself that you can feel good under any conditions, Now hear us. We're not talking about looking right at an awful condition and liking it. That's not what we're saying. We're talking about looking at a condition and not liking the way you feel and having the wisdom to distract yourself from the condition long enough to feel better. Because if you can show yourself that you can distract yourself from unwanted conditions long enough to feel better, those unwanted conditions cannot come your way. And while you cannot create in the realities of others, you don't have to be beat up by the conditions that they are living either, you see. And little by little, you just keep adding to the impetus of well-being until there can be a time in your lifetime when most are living happily ever after. There are flawed premises. You believe that you've got to struggle in order to accomplish. You believe that you have to have pain in order to have gain. And none of that is true. Law of attraction and the momentum of your source defies that, you see. Prove that to yourself and then teach it to your children. And so if a little one says, I had a bad dream, just laugh about it and say, oh, I know, bad dreams are so interesting. I love my dreams because my dreams tell me how I really feel. And I've discovered I can change how I feel little by little by little so I can control those dreams. And I can control everything else in my world too. Your dreams are just your first playground to figure out how to control them, you see. Tell them that. Once you start controlling the way you feel in your dreams, you've got it made. Then you can control anything. And that really is the way that it is.